So I've developed this 6-step program that can take you through step by step the process of remodeling your business sustainably. I want to talk through it now, and as I do, I'm going to share with you some of the models and some of the outputs that you get following this process. Don't worry if you don't follow it all in detail. There'll be a fair bit of detail on the screen. It's all about just understanding the flow of the process and the way of going about it, really. So step 1 is about understanding your business. Before we look at changing anything, we need to have a shared understanding of what makes your business tick. Yeah? It's dangerous to change otherwise. And I want to understand you, as business leaders, what your motivation is. So you may be familiar with this model called the Golden Circle. A guy called Simon Sinek created this. He's written a very famous best-selling book called Start With Why. And what he says is that every company on the planet knows what they do. Some companies understand how they do it, but only a very few know why they do it. And yet, we know, scientifically proven, we make decisions. Most of our decisions are made at an emotional level, a raw emotional level, and then we use the facts and figures to post-rationalise afterwards. We don't like to admit it to ourselves, but it's true. And what that means is that people aren't really buying what you do. They might need what you do, but they're really buying it from you because of why you do it, rather than to get it from your competitor. Because the why is an emotional state. To give you an idea of how this works, I want to share with you my golden circle. So I passionately believe that everybody in the world should have the same standard of living as I do. Why shouldn't they? But if that's going to work and we're going to have a world that's fit for people to live in, we've got to change our economic model. And I believe that business is the fastest, most effective way of doing it. And by the way, I love doing business. So that's the contribution I can make. That's why I'm in this business. How do I do it? I do it by designing bespoke, innovative, sustainable business models. By turning employees and customers into advocates for sustainability. And by creating connections between the businesses that need sustainable solutions and organisations that provide them. That's how I go about my business. So what do? I work directly with people like yourselves, people running businesses, to create step change growth for their businesses, to out-innovate their competitors, and to protect the future of their kids' generation. It's all very well doing the right thing for the planet and people. It has to work for your business. And I see no reason why, like some of the examples I've given you, sustainability can't create that step change growth. And it can help you out-innovate your competitors. So that's what I'm about. Going back to the process, first thing we've got to do is understand the business. So I do an audit, understand where you are on your sustainability journey today. I give you a report like this that gives you some indication of where you are and where some of the gaps may be. I also want to understand what you're promising to your customers, what I've called a brand promise. You are promising something to your customers, whether or not you've articulated it, and we need to understand what that is, because that's the foundation on which to build. You need to understand what's going on outside your business, what's going on in the industry, socioeconomic trends in the economy and in your market, to anticipate what's coming next, because doing this stuff isn't going to suddenly happen overnight. It's going to take some years. So we've got to have our eyes on the future. Which direction are we going and what's going to help drive it? There's an awful lot of particularly legislation coming down the line which will help incentivise businesses to get more sustainable. And most importantly, we've got to understand who your customers are and what they're trying to do. You can be as sustainable as you like. If you're not providing something that's of value to your customers, waste of time. So we need to understand what jobs your customers are trying to do, what's painful for them, what's difficult for them about doing those jobs, and where are there opportunities to create gains to make life easier for them to do their jobs. And it's only once we understand all that we move on to step 2, which is about identifying opportunities. Yeah, and we can work through the circle here, and I've got a whole bunch of examples and stimulus material we can work through to figure out which of these opportunities might work for your business. And then we bring it all together. The external view, the customer view, the internal view, and also what matters to you as the business leader. Where do you want to go? What are your values? The idea being to develop a value proposition. So this was what the customers wanted. This is your business response. So we're creating a bundle of products and services that help your customers do the jobs they're trying to do, that relieve their pains and that create new gains that your competitors aren't, whilst also tagging on to some of those sustainable opportunities we've identified and that's in line with your values. So we've got to find the sustainable opportunities that matter to your customers, and this model can help us do it. Steps 3 to 5 are really the engine room of the process, and it's all about prototyping, testing and refining. It's very unlikely we're going to leap to the solution, so that process is really important. This is a model you may be familiar with. I know some of you in the room are. The business model canvas. I've slightly modified it with a couple of extra boxes at the bottom. So I've called it the sustainable business model canvas. The beautiful thing about this is you can see your whole business on one page and how it works, how it delivers the outcomes you're looking for. The revenue outcomes, the cost structure, the social impacts and the environmental impacts you're trying to deliver. And we can rapidly try out new, different types of business models. We can put these together and see what the different outcomes are, go and market test them, refine them until we've got the model that's going to work for you. So that testing and refining is a key part of that process. Once we do that, we can then re-look at your brand promise and actually look at what's the sustainable opportunity that's delivering what your customers value in a way that matters to them emotionally. That can then deliver you a much more powerful marketing message which is based on what matters to your customers. And finally, we look at your most important assets, your people. You can have the best plan in the world. If people aren't engaged with it and don't care about it, it ain't going to work. So we also then look at the change management process, which is all about engaging people. And we use a best-in-class system, which is also very easy to get to grips with, called ADCAR, which says that if you want to get people to engage with the change, you have to go through 5 stages in the right order. You have to create awareness of what you're trying to do. You have to create desire for that change of what you're trying to do. You have to give people the knowledge of how to do it, but then they also have to develop the ability. Knowledge and ability are not the same thing. One training course rarely cuts it. And then finally, you have to reinforce it. So it'll help you create a plan to do just that and make sure we engage everybody in your business.